Chapter 6. The Right Way to Give.
Among the numerous faults of those who pass their lives recklessly and without due reflection, my good friend Liberalis, I should say that there is hardly anyone so hurtful to society as this, that we neither know how to bestow or how to receive a benefit.
The Stoics believe that we are born for each other, which leads to the conclusion that it is not just good to benefit one another, but it is how we build the primary bonds of society. We must have generous intentions followed up by generous acts, and bestow them on worthy people so that we encourage the return of those benefits and the building of a chain of connection and love between the receiver and ourselves. We must learn to give at the right time and in the right way, and then to act as if we forgot our debt. We must also learn to receive and repay in the right way, how to show gratitude, and how to keep our benefits in the forefront of our minds.
We are to speak of benefits, and to define a matter which is the chief bond of human society. We are to lay down a rule of life, such that neither careless open-handedness may commend itself to us under the guise of goodness of heart, and yet that our circumspection, while it moderates, may not quench our generosity, a quality in which we ought neither to exceed nor to fall short. Men must be taught to be willing to give, willing to receive, willing to return, and to place before themselves the high aim, not merely of equaling, but even of surpassing those to whom they are indebted, both in good offices and in good feeling, because the man whose duty it is to repay can never do so unless he outdoes his benefactor. The one class must be taught to look for no return, the other to feel deeper gratitude.
What is a benefit?
What then is a benefit? It is the art of doing a kindness which both bestows pleasure and gains it by bestowing it, and which does its office by natural and spontaneous impulse. It is not therefore the thing which is done or given, but the spirit in which it is done or given, that must be considered, because a benefit exists, not in that which is done or given, but in the mind of the doer or giver. How great the distinction between them is, you may perceive from this, that while a benefit is necessarily good, yet that which is done or given is neither good nor bad.
A benefit is the wholesome intention to be helpful, not the help itself. This genuine desire, rooted in goodwill, is the essence of a benefit. While the outcomes of our actions are external and subject to the whims of fortune, capable of shifting from good to bad, the core value of the benefit, the heartfelt intention behind it, remains unaltered and impervious to such changes.
One man says that he owes the money which he has received, another that he owes a consulship, a priesthood, a province, and so on. These, however, are but the outward signs of kindnesses, not the kindnesses themselves. A benefit is not to be felt and handled. It is a thing which exists only in the mind. There is a great difference between the subject matter of a benefit and the benefit itself. Wherefore neither gold nor silver nor any of those things which are most highly esteemed are benefits, but the benefit lies in the goodwill of him who gives them. The ignorant take notice only of that which comes before their eyes, and which can be owned and passed from hand to hand, while they disregard that which gives these things their value. The things which we hold in our hands, which we see with our eyes, and which our avarice hugs, are transitory. They may be taken from us by ill luck or by violence. But a kindness lasts even after the loss of that by means of which it was bestowed. For it is a good deed which no violence can undo. For instance, suppose that I ransomed a friend from pirates, but another pirate has caught him and thrown him into prison. The pirate has not robbed him of my benefit, but has only robbed him of the enjoyment of it.
Why we give benefits? We bestow benefits on others because it is our duty and to maintain a clear conscience, ensuring that we have left no good we could do undone. Our motivation must be purely altruistic. If we seek to profit ourselves, it is not a benefit. Understanding this concept is important because a significant part of a wise person's tranquility comes from the time they spend each day thinking about benefits, bestowing them, and being grateful for them.
It is so far from being right to bestow a benefit for one's own advantage that often, as I have explained, it is one's duty to bestow it when it involves one's own loss and risk. For instance, if I assist a man when beset by robbers so that he gets away from them safely, or help some victim of power, and bring upon myself the party spite of a body of influential men, very probably incurring myself the same disgrace from which I saved him, although I might have taken the other side and looked on with safety at struggles with which I have nothing to do. If I were to give bail for one who has been condemned, and when my friend's goods were advertised for sale, I were to give a bond to the effect that I would make restitution to the creditors, if, in order to save a proscribed person, I myself run the risk of being proscribed. No one, when about to buy a villa at Tusculum or Tibur for a summer retreat because of the health of the locality, considers how many years' purchase he gives for it. This must be looked to by the man who makes a profit by it. The same is true with benefits. When you ask what return I get for them, I answer, the consciousness of a good action. What return does one get for benefits? Pray tell me what return one gets for righteousness, innocence, magnanimity, chastity, temperance. We Stoics, on the other hand, take pleasure in bestowing benefits even though they cost us labour, provided that they lighten the labours of others, though they lead us into danger, provided that they save others, though they straiten our means, if they alleviate the poverty and distresses of others. What difference does it make to me whether I receive benefits or not? Even if I receive them, it is still my duty to bestow them. A benefit has in view the advantage of him upon whom we bestow it, not our own. Otherwise, we merely bestow it upon ourselves.
Gratitude is a virtue, ingratitude is a vice. We are soft, weak creatures. We may be clever, but on our own we are not a match for most animals, nature, and each other. It is only through union with each other that we are able to provide security and prosperity, and nothing builds union like gratitude or breaks it down more than ingratitude.
A proof that gratitude is desirable for itself lies in the fact that ingratitude is to be avoided for itself, because no vice more powerfully rends asunder and destroys the union of the human race. To what do we trust for safety, if not in mutual good offices one to another? It is by the interchange of benefits alone that we gain some measure of protection for our lives and of safety against sudden disasters. Taken singly, what should we be? A prey and quarry for wild beasts, a luscious and easy banquet. For while all other animals have sufficient strength to protect themselves, and those which are born to a wandering solitary life are armed, man is covered by a soft skin, has no powerful teeth or claws with which to terrify other creatures, but weak and naked by himself, is made strong by union.
Ingratitude is the seed of much of the other wickedness people get themselves wrapped up in. We should be on high alert against it, because if we can keep it from taking root, we can save ourselves the greater struggle of uprooting some full-grown tree later on. It is also unreasonable, because what you lose when someone does not return your benefit is the lesser part of it. The greater part is the virtuous action you took to help them. That should be more than enough for you, and if you happen to get the material of the benefit back, it is a bonus. There is nothing to be ungrateful about.
There always will be homicides, tyrants, thieves, adulterers, ravishers, sacrilegious, traitors. Worse than all these is the ungrateful man, except we consider that all these crimes flow from ingratitude, without which hardly any great wickedness has ever grown to full stature. Be sure that you guard against this as the greatest of crimes in yourself, but pardon it as the least of crimes in another. For all the injury which you suffer is this: you have lost the subject matter of a benefit, not the benefit itself, for you possess unimpaired the best part of it, in that you have given it.
Seneca's last counsel about ingratitude is that the worst type of ungrateful person is the one who forgets what he has received. With other causes, gratitude might be roused by shame or circumstance, but someone who forgets their benefits has lost them, along with the chance to return them. A Stoic never forgets the benefits they have received.
There are many classes of the ungrateful, as there are of thieves or of homicides, who all have the same fault, though there is a great variety in its various forms. The man is ungrateful who denies that he has received a benefit, who pretends that he has not received it, who does not return it. The most ungrateful man of all is he who forgets it. The others, though they do not repay it, yet feel their debt and possess some traces of worth, though obstructed by their bad conscience. They may by some means and at some time be brought to show their gratitude, if, for instance, they be pricked by shame, if they conceive some noble ambition, such as occasionally rises even in the breasts of the wicked, if some easy opportunity of doing so offers. But the man from whom all recollection of the benefit has passed away can never become grateful.
The right way to give. Bestowing benefits seems simple, but is rarely done properly, often dragging ourselves and the people we want to help through unnecessary hardship. We rarely give what we should, and often ruin our gifts with the way we give them or deal with them after they have been given. It is a cause for pity for the whole human race that being helpful is so difficult. Lucky for us, Seneca has a lot of advice for us on this topic. First off, how should we choose people to bestow benefits on? We should prefer people who are likely to be grateful for them over people who are likely to pay them back. We should value people by their hearts alone.
In choosing a fit person, I shall not, as you expect, pay the least attention to whether I am likely to get any return from him, for I choose one who will be grateful, not one who will return my goodness, and it often happens that the man who makes no return is grateful, while he who returns a benefit is ungrateful for it. I value men by their hearts alone, and therefore I shall pass over a rich man if he be unworthy, and give to a good man though he be poor. For he will be grateful however destitute he may be, since whatever he may lose, his heart will still be left him.
What should we give? First what is necessary, then what is useful, then what is pleasant.
The next point to be defined is what kind of benefits are to be given, and in what manner. First let us give what is necessary, next what is useful, and then what is pleasant, provided that they be lasting. We must begin with what is necessary, for those things which support life affect the mind very differently from those which adorn and improve it.
Only give meaningful gifts that are desirable to the receiver. Think about what they need, not what you want to give. Do not give useless gifts or ones that could offend the receiver.
In giving these, we must be careful to make them acceptable, by giving them at the appropriate time, or by giving things which are not common, but such as few people possess, or at any rate, few possess in our times, or again, by giving things in such a manner that, though not naturally valuable, they become so by the time and place at which they are given. We must reflect what present will produce the most pleasure, what will most frequently come under the notice of the possessor of it, so that whenever he is with it, he may be with us also. And in all cases we must be careful not to send useless presents, such as hunting weapons to a woman or old man, or books to a rustic, or nets to catch wild animals to a quiet literary man. On the other hand, we ought to be careful, while we wish to send what will please, that we do not send what will insultingly remind our friends of their failings, as for example if we send wine to a hard drinker or drugs to an invalid, for a present which contains an allusion to the shortcomings of the receiver becomes an outrage.
We should anticipate our friends' needs and offer them without being asked. It is a great kindness to spare our friends the embarrassment of asking for help, which we would happily grant if they did.
The best thing of all is to anticipate a person's wishes, the next to follow them. The former is the better course, to be beforehand with our friends by giving them what they want before they ask us for it, for the value of a gift is much enhanced by sparing an honest man. The misery of asking for it with confusion and blushes.
When our friends ask for help, we should agree immediately. So while we failed to anticipate their needs, we show that we at least had the intention.
If we do not succeed in anticipating our friends, let us at any rate cut them short when they ask us for anything, so that we may appear to be reminded of what we meant to do, rather than to have been asked to do it. Let us assent at once, and by our promptness make it appear that we meant to do so even before we were solicited.
We ought to give a benefit in the way which makes it most useful to the receiver. If it grows by being widely known, we should give it publicly. If the help we are giving could bring shame if known, then we should offer it privately and never speak of it after.
Accordingly, all writers on ethical philosophy tell us that some benefits ought to be given in secret, others in public. Those things which it is glorious to receive, such as military decorations or public offices and whatever else, gains in value the more widely it is known, should be conferred in public. On the other hand, when they do not promote a man or add to his social standing, but help him when in weakness, in want, or in disgrace, they should be given silently and so as to be known only to those who profit by them.
We should give anonymously, if that leads to greater benefit to the receiver.
Sometimes, even the person who is assisted must be deceived, in order that he may receive our bounty without knowing the source from whence it flows.
Give generously, and then try to forget what you have given. This saves you from spoiling your gifts by acting like a creditor and prepares you properly to feel the joy of a returned benefit.
The best man is he who gives readily, never asks for any return, and is delighted when the return is made, because having really and truly forgotten what he gave, he receives it as though it were a present.
We should not bring up past benefits with their receivers. The best way to remind a person to be grateful is to give them something new to feel grateful for. Only the receiver of a benefit should talk about it.
We ought not to speak of the benefits which we have conferred. To remind men of them is to ask them to return them. We should not obtrude them or recall the memory of them. You should only remind a man of what you have given him by giving him something else. We ought not even to tell others of our good deeds. He who confers a benefit should be silent. It should be told by the receiver.
If we wish to see our benefits returned, then what we really wish for is the thriving of the person we are bestowing them on. We must nurture them and bestow more benefits so that they grow to their full potential and become the type of person who returns benefits to us, thereby providing joy and security to us both. We must love them.
If the farmer ceases his labours after he has put in the seed, he will lose what he has sown. It is only by great pains that seeds are brought to yield a crop. No plant will bear fruit unless it be tended with equal care from first to last, and the same rule is true of benefits. Can any benefits be greater than those which children receive from their parents? Yet these benefits are useless if they be deserted while young, if the pious care of the parents does not for a long time watch over the gift which they have bestowed. So it is with other benefits. Unless you help them, you will lose them. To give is not enough. You must foster what you have given. If you wish those whom you lay under an obligation to be grateful to you, you must not merely confer benefits upon them, but you must also love them.
Do not give things which hurt the receiver or lead them down a bad path, even if they ask for them. It is your responsibility to think through the consequences of your benefit and make sure they do not let your friends bring evil upon themselves. Even if they beg or become angry or curse you, if you love them, you will benefit them by rejecting their request and bearing the consequences. It is not love, but hatred to do otherwise.
We ought to look at the end of our benefits as well as the beginning, and not merely to give what men are glad to receive, but what they will hereafter be glad to have received. There are many who say, I know that this will do him no good, but what am I to do? He begs for it. I cannot withstand his entreaties. Let him see to it. He will blame himself, not me. Not so, you he will blame, and deservedly. When he comes to his right mind, when the frenzy which now excites him has left him, how can he help hating the man who has assisted him to harm and to endanger himself? It is a cruel kindness to allow oneself to be won over into granting that which injures those who beg for it. Just as it is the noblest of acts to save men from harm against their will, so it is but hatred under the mask of civility to grant what is harmful to those who ask for it. Let us confer benefits of such a kind, that the more they are made use of, the better they please, and which never can turn into injuries. I never will give money to a man if I know that he will pay it to an adulteress, nor will I be found in connection with any wicked act or plan. If possible, I will restrain men from crime. If not, at least I will never assist them in it. Whether my friend be driven into doing wrong by anger, or seduced from the path of safety by the heat of ambition, he shall never gain the means of doing mischief except from himself, nor will I enable him one day to say, "He ruined me out of love for me."
In this chapter, we have explored Seneca's insights on the nature and practice of giving benefits. Seneca teaches us that the true value of a benefit lies not in the material gift itself, but in the spirit with which it is given. This critical distinction shifts our focus from the external, tangible aspects of giving to the intangible qualities of goodwill and benevolence. Seneca emphasizes that the significance of a benefit is greatly influenced by how it is given, considering the timing, the manner of giving, and the specific needs of the recipient. We are encouraged to be proactive in understanding and anticipating the needs of others, to give selflessly without the expectation of a return, and to choose recipients based on their character rather than their capacity to repay. This approach promotes a culture of generosity and gratitude, strengthening the social bonds that are essential for a cohesive society. Seneca's teachings urge us to view the act of giving as an art that requires thoughtfulness, empathy, and a nuanced understanding of human relationships. By embracing this art, we not only enhance the lives of others, but also cultivate our own moral growth and inner tranquility.